this Reddit post you sent over, it really got to me, you know? It's just so sad to think about someone feeling so alone, especially on their birthday, to the point
Yeah.
where they're thinking about suicide.
Yeah.
This 28-year-old guy,
Yeah.
he's talking about having tickets to see Coldplay in Ahmedabad, India, even extra tickets,
Mm.
but no one to go with. It's
Wow.
heartbreaking.
Yeah, it really is. What strikes me is that it's not just like a cry for help. It's like a window into how complicated loneliness is these days, like especially with all this technology and everything. He talks about not getting a single birthday call, his family's in another town. He even tried celebrating with coworkers, but it didn't really work out.
Yeah. And then he mentions his vitiligo. Like, he almost wonders if that's part of the reason why people don't seem to like him.
Mm.
It makes you think about how much appearance can affect how we feel,
Yeah.
like whether we belong and how much we're worth.
Oh, absolutely. There's so much research on how being judged for your appearance can make you feel isolated and depressed. It's really important to remember that's a big part of what he's going through. And then on top of that, he's comparing himself to his brother who seems to have it all, the career, the family, the dog. And that just makes him feel even worse about himself.
It's like he's only seeing the bad stuff, not focusing on the good things he does have. And that's where it gets really interesting. Because even with all that negativity, there's this spark of self-awareness. Like, he knows he has potential. He wants to do good in the world.
That is so important. He's not just feeling sorry for himself. He actually wants things to change. He wants connection. He realizes he's stuck in these bad thought patterns. And that's huge. That's the first step to getting better.
And then comes the amazing part, the way the Reddit community responded. Talk about the power of being open and honest. Like, his honesty just unleashed this wave of empathy and support.
It really shows how much we all need connection, even online. People from all over the world offered to go to the concert with him. Some even said they'd fly to India just to be there for his birthday.
And it wasn't just talk. People offered to be his tour guide, celebrate with him online, share their own stories about overcoming loneliness. It's like they created this online safety net to catch him when he felt like he was falling.
And what's fascinating is the variety of responses. You've got people offering practical help, like booking flights or finding local meetups. And then you have those offering emotional support, reminding him that his feelings are valid and they won't last forever.
Makes you wonder what's more helpful, a real action, like offering a plane ticket, or a more general message like, you're not alone.
That's a great question. It really gets into the psychology of support. Both types of responses are important. But actually doing something can be really powerful because it gives someone hope and a sense of control. It's going beyond words and making a concrete change.
There was even one commenter who shared their own struggle with suicidal thoughts and how their dog was the reason they didn't go through with it.
That story is so powerful. It shows how unpredictable life can be and how sometimes the smallest things can save us. It also highlights how important it is to seek help and talk about our struggles. You never know who's listening or who might be going through something similar.
Yeah, it's like a reminder that even when we feel totally alone, there's usually someone or something out there that needs us. And sometimes realizing that can be enough to change how we see things.
This whole story, it's kind of like the internet itself. There's darkness and despair, but there's also this incredible ability to connect and support each other.
Exactly. It challenges the idea that online interactions are always superficial. In this case, it was an online community that gave him a lifeline, a sense of belonging that he wasn't finding in his real life.
I wonder, though, how long can that kind of online support really last? Can it actually make a real difference in the long run? That's a tough one. Online support groups and communities, they can be amazing for making you feel less alone and connecting with people who get it. But they're more like a stepping stone, not the final destination.
So how do we bridge that gap? How do we take these online connections and turn them into real changes?
That's the big question. For this guy on Reddit, maybe it's about using all that support he got online and doing something with it in his real life. Like maybe he could find a support group for people with vitiligo or join a club based on his interests. The key is to build on those first connections and start feeling like he belongs in his actual environment.
There's something really powerful about someone offering to pay for a ticket and go to that Coldplay concert with him. It goes beyond just saying nice things. It's a real action, a real way to help.
Exactly. And that's often what makes all the difference. It's saying, I see you, I hear you, and I'm here for you. Not just online, but in person. That kind of thing can change someone's life, especially when they're feeling hopeless and isolated.
I also like the commenter who offered to have a virtual birthday party for him with cake and karaoke.
Oh yeah, me too. It shows how creative and resourceful people can be online. They find these unique ways to celebrate, connect, and support each other. breaking down those barriers of distance and proving that we can connect as humans, even without being physically together.
It reminds us that we don't always need these huge gestures to make an impact. Sometimes the simplest acts of kindness, whether online or offline, can really make a difference.
Absolutely. A listening ear, a kind word, just being willing to show up. Those are the things that build real connection.
This whole conversation makes me wonder, maybe our listeners thinking about this too. In a world where we're always connected online, are we really connecting on a deeper level?
That's a good question to think about. We have access to more people than ever before, yet more and more people are feeling lonely and isolated. It seems like there's a disconnect between how many connections we have and how meaningful those connections actually are.
So how do we fix that? How do we find real connection when everything's becoming so digital?
It starts with being aware of what we're doing and why we're doing it, both online and offline. Are we really present in our interactions? Are we actively listening and being empathetic? Are we looking for connections that make us feel good and add something positive to our lives?
It's easy to get caught up in the superficial stuff on social media and online, but this Reddit story shows us that there's also a huge potential for real connection and support.
It's about choosing to be intentional with our connections, recognizing that being vulnerable is important, and remembering that even in this vast online world, human kindness can still shine through.
It's like in this Reddit post, the guy being so open about his struggles, it became this way for people to connect with each other.
Yeah.
It wasn't just about him getting support, it was about others finding common ground, sharing their own experiences and realizing they weren't alone.
You're right. It created this ripple effect of empathy and understanding, and it really shows the power of shared experiences,
Yeah.
especially when it comes to overcoming loneliness. When we hear someone else put into words what we've been going through, it can be so validating and empowering.
There were so many comments from people who had also thought about suicide, who had felt like they didn't belong, who had struggled to accept themselves. And by sharing their stories, they weren't just helping the original poster, they were connecting with each other too, forming a community based on shared understanding.
It's like this online support group just popped up naturally, driven by this common need for connection and a shared sense of vulnerability. And that's where the real magic of online communities is, in their ability to connect people across countries and social differences, creating a sense of belonging that can be hard to find in real life.
Makes you wonder, though, how do we make sure these online connections turn into real change? It's easy to get caught up in the good vibes of online support, but how do we take that energy and use it in our everyday lives?
That's the key question. It's about realizing that online support is just the beginning, a jumping-off point for personal growth and action in the real world. It could mean finding a therapist, joining a support group in your area, or finding ways to do things that give you a sense of purpose and connection offline.
So for our listeners who are feeling lonely, like they don't belong, what advice would you give them based on this Reddit post and all the support it got?
I'd say, first of all, remember you're not alone. Your feelings are real, and there are people who care and want to help. Don't be afraid to reach out, whether it's to a friend, a family member, a therapist, or even an online community. Being vulnerable can be a powerful way to connect. And sometimes talking about our problems is the first step to healing and growing.
This deep dive has been such a strong reminder that even in the darkest parts of the internet, human kindness can win. It's a testament to the good that's inside all of us and the incredible potential for connection when we let ourselves be vulnerable and ask for help.
I agree. It's a reminder that we're all in this together, and that even small acts of kindness can have a big impact, spreading positivity and hope.
It's been an amazing journey looking at this Reddit post and all the thought-provoking things it's brought up.
I've really enjoyed it.
And to everyone listening, thank you for joining us on this deep dive. If this conversation meant something to you, we'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. And if you're new to Voices of the Soul, make sure to subscribe to our podcast and check out our YouTube channel, Shauna Plage, for more discussions like this. Until next time, remember the power of vulnerability, the importance of connection, and the good that's inside each of us.